Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Integration Conversations
with Christine and Leah.
Okay, I've never heard you sing.
That's not it.
I know you can
That's
sing.
not it.
That ain't it.
That's not it.
Okay.
I was like, you said hey, hey, and it reminded me of just like the whole hey, hey, hey.
Like the bear?
No, the Bill Cosby show.
Oh yeah, we can't go into Bill Cosby.
No. Just the show.
Just the show.
The jingle. Hey, hey, hey.
Oh my God.
Welcome back.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, what are we breaking down today, Leah?
We are breaking down Chrissy Powers episode, because I listened back to it after it aired and had a lot to say.
Yeah, and we got a lot of comments about how much people love that episode.
Yeah.
Like, we got a lot of feedback.
She's hard not to love.
I mean, this is true.
I mean,
I like the interviews that we have where I feel like it's just a very organic. I'm learning something from this person, but I also feel like it's kind of like just a shooting the shit with the person too while learning whatever topic
right,
they're discussing.
And I feel bad. Let me just say this, like when I'm like, oh my God, she was our favorite interview. Like I say that after a lot of interviews. Like that one was my favorite. So like to any of our guests, like we're not saying you weren't our favorite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of like what we talk about.
We've bonded with a lot of them.
That, and I feel like everyone we talk to, it genuinely feels like therapy.
Yeah.
And, everybody's coming on with, their own expertise, and I'm learning different things, and I appreciate all of it.
You know what I feel like this is? Maybe I've said this before. It sounds like I've said this before, but I feel like doing what we're doing is integration.
Oh my God.
And it can be integration for other people.
Right.
So.
Sure. Because again, we are not the experts.
Right.
We interview the experts. We're learning along the way with you guys.
Yeah.
So.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's a cool place to be in.
It is a
cool
place.
Position to be in.
Yeah.
Because we don't claim to be the experts.
No, we're just here fucking learning with you all.
Nodding our heads.
Yeah. Should you say we got a negative comment?
On YouTube
where people were like,
Yeah, if you want to spend an hour watching these girls nod their heads the whole time. He said something about like, do you guys exercise for that? I'm like,
yes, we do.
You spend an hour watching us nodding our heads?
I'm interested in the conversation. I'm just being organically myself.
What am I supposed to do?
Here's my other thing.
When they're talking, what if I'm like...
Right. Here's my other thing. If you don't like us nodding our heads, I don't know, just find another fucking podcast. But people who take the time to really like put a long response on why they don't like just you being yourself, and you're not hurting anybody, you're not being mean, being malicious. I'm like, man, you wasted a lot of energy when you could have been putting that same energy into something for yourself or something just positive.
Right.
Like, wow.
Or like, did you even hear what we were talking about?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It was just weird to me because I'm like, you don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
Listen to it.
And haters are going to
also
hate, man.
I just don't know that I could have a conversation with someone and not be reactive to what they're saying.
Yeah, it's just how I listen, bro.
I'm not a robot.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I'm trying right now to not.
No, yeah, they're saying a lot of good stuff. We nod. Shit.
Yeah. Anyway, that was funny.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess go into it. What do you want to break down with Chrissy's episode? Because
listening back to it, she said something about a hero's journey. And I realized we've never really talked about that. And I wanted to go into kind of the differences because there is a hero's journey and then there's a heroic journey that we talk about. And they are two completely separate things.
And I personally, when she said, I didn't even think to ask, and I should have asked.
Well, I think because when people are hearing that, they think that she's talking about what we're talking about, a heroic journey.
Yeah.
Is that maybe what you thought and probably why you didn't think to?
I don't know. And I kind of don't remember her saying it until I listened back to the episode.
Can I go back to our texts?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But yeah, a hero's journey and a heroic journey are very, very different things. And Leah's going to go into what a hero's journey
But
is.
they're also very similar.
They are.
And I think that's why
it's called.
They're called
Yeah.
what they are. So the hero's journey is a mythical structure that Joseph Campbell, it's like a theory that he came up with. And it's in movies, it's in books, it's like every story has a hero. Every hero has a journey to achieve a goal. Like if you're watching a movie and there's like no like hero in the movie, like it's not a really good movie.
Yeah.
But so this says different philosophers have narrated heroes' journeys in various stages. A lot of people say that there's 12 steps to a hero's journey. So there's like the departure. And it's like the ordinary world, the call to adventure, the refusal of the call, where you're like, okay, I'm going to relate this to The Last of Us. If you haven't watched it, really good series.
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. He didn't want to be doing what he was doing. You know, when he was like taking Ellie where she was supposed to be, he didn't want to be doing it. Yeah. So there's like the refusal to the call. Like, I'm just doing my job, man. But then at the end, like he's like the hero, you know? So there's the refusal of the call, meeting with the mentor. And I think in that situation, it was Ellie. She taught him a lot about life. Crossing the threshold, tests, allies, and enemies, approach to the inmost cave, which is like the danger and the confrontation with an enemy or an actual place where the hero must go to face their true challenge. It's basically the final battle. I mean, this is in like video games and everything. The hero's journey is like something that we all read and want to obtain without even knowing.
How did Chrissy use that in the interview? How did she talk about a hero's journey?
Hang on, I'll tell you. There's the ordeal, the reward, the road back, the resurrection, and then the return with the elixir. So like at the very end of every hero's journey, like you come back with like the new perspective, the girl, the life, the money, the fame, like whatever it is that you were like trying to achieve throughout that journey is what you come back with. She said something about like we all have a hero's journey to go through. I feel like that's how she said it. I can't remember exactly how she said it. But I'm also going to relate this back to what the heroic journey is, which is what Terence McKenna came up with in the 80s. The heroic dose, the heroic journey with mushrooms is 5 grams in a dark room alone.
Yeah. And would some people even consider it 3? I mean,
some people consider
5.
it 3, but his thing, his way of doing it is 5. So there's a lot of like pushback or over like, no, a heroic journey is 5. No, it could be 3. Like, I think you can get a lot of insight from 3 or 4 grams, a lot of insight, but a true heroic journey, I think a lot of people would say it's the 5.
Gotcha.
Because I know a lot of people who have gotten some really good shit from 1 gram or 2 grams. I feel like it's all a heroic, insightful trip. So that's a heroic journey in the sense that we're talking about it, is that 5 grams in a dark room. And the reason that they're the same is because how many times have you done this where you go in, you're nervous. I mean, you've done it twice now. Mm-hmm. You're nervous every time.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're scared of what's going to come up. You know you're going in to like face your shit and you don't know what shit it's going to show you. So it's like you're going through the steps of a hero's journey, like the final battle, and then you come out of it with this new perspective, this new lesson, and life is different.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is why he called it the heroic journey.
Yeah.
Because it's like the hero's journey.
Yeah.
So in life, there are hero's journeys. And I want everybody to remember this, because when you are going through something really fucking difficult, remember this. You were going through it because you were being called to action. But I said this to you last week because I saw a post and I texted you like super late at night because I had to get it out of my head. it said it's not the trauma that makes you stronger. It's healing from the trauma that makes you stronger. And so I saw this post and I was like, oh my God. And I texted you and I said, think about this. And I want our listeners to really think about this. We are all survivors of trauma, and we have all survived our worst days. Every one of us on this earth is a survivor, right?
Yeah.
We all have trauma and we've all survived it
right.
to some capacity.
Well, and what's interesting too is for me, we were just talking about it before we started recording, in the thick of my struggle, I have often had that thought of like, how am I going to get past this? How am I going to get through this? And 100% of the time, I do.
You do. We all do. And you know, that's, if you are standing here today, you are a survivor of your trauma. What makes you different and what makes you stronger is when you begin the process of healing that trauma. And that to me is the difference between a survivor and a warrior.
Ooh.
Because not everybody is a warrior. Because how many people do you know who sit in that I survived mode?
That's funny you say that, because I've done 2 journeys and my second journey was about being a warrior. That was literally the whole theme.
Because you fucking are, bitch.
Well, we both are.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people in this space, they are.
Absolutely.
And it's a never-ending battle.
Because we're the ones fighting the battles of our own shit, of our own demons, of our own traumas. And I want to say that because, you know, we'll get into this, and this isn't the episode for this, but somebody in my life has CPTSD, and I'm like, don't we all? But that's their excuse to continue their behavior. Like, and that's their excuse for, you know, everybody to like bow down to them. Like, I have CPTSD. That's just the way I am. And you should love me this way. And I'm like,
So do you though.
Right.
So do I though.
So do I. So do you. So does everyone. The difference is we are working to heal that, because having that diagnosis is not a death sentence.
Yeah, it's not anything.
You don't get to say that and continue the behaviors and the patterns and the trauma responses and expect everyone to walk on eggshells around you because you have this trauma.
Right.
So do we.
Right. And it's not black and white. You can still hold a lot of empathy.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok where it's like, I am so sorry you went through that. But it does not give you an excuse to treat me this way.
Thank you. Right.
Like, I am so sorry that happened to you. I have a lot of compassion for what you've been through, but it doesn't give you an excuse to treat other people in a certain way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I have that. I grew up with this person.
Yeah.
Was a sibling, and it was like, you know, yes, I have so much empathy and compassion for her and everything that she's gone through. But it doesn't give you an excuse as an adult to treat people the way that you do.
Right. And we also understand that you are that way because of
Sure.
A, B, and C.
Right.
But what your responsibility is, and this is huge because this is your responsibility, no one else's, is to work on that.
When you don't fix your wounds, you bleed on the people who did not hurt you.
I love that. Ooh, I think you told me that one time and I was like, oh, or maybe you said it in an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is true though.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you know, don't work on your own healing and what your own trauma triggers, all of that stuff is, you project it on people who weren't a part of that.
So would you say, you know, there's a lot of, everybody goes through their like hero's journey. There's like that. I mean, I feel like that's part of what life is. I don't think everyone comes out a hero. Like there isn't always the happy ending.
Yeah.
Or the savior at the end. I think a lot of people get stuck in that call to action.
Yeah.
And they don't move further past that. They get stuck in those battles with their own demons and the enemies and they get stuck in that whirlwind of that cycle, that
Right.
negative cycle. And they don't fight against it, it's like in this sense, there is no one to fight but yourself.
Right. Well, and I feel like everybody in your life is a little bit of a reflection of you.
Yeah.
it's a mirror.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, myself included, like to project, oh, this person did this, and this person in my life did this, and this person did this. It's hard, but so important to take a look at yourself and take a look at what you're doing to contribute to that.
I feel like I have deja vu sometimes, and I don't know if I've said these things before, or if I've only said them to you, but to that, I saw another TikTok that said like ways to know that you are doing the work and that you're healing. And one of them was that you see a little bit of yourself in everyone.
I love that.
Because I'm where I am now, there are people in my life, I wouldn't call them like my narcissists, but like people that I notice have like narcissistic tendencies. And I'm like, oh my God, that used to be me.
Oh.
Remember when I said this to you the other day? I had this realization that like once upon a time, I was probably the narcissist in someone else's life because I always played victim, and I sat in my struggle and I sat in my shit, but I didn't do anything about it. So I was probably a covert narcissist on the outside looking in. Like I had a lot of tendencies because I didn't take control of my life and I vented about it and I didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh my God, so much.
So I think to some degree, we're all born that way and we all have these tendencies, and there's a big difference between having narcissistic personality disorder, because everybody has narcissistic tendencies.
Right.
And patterns. But the biggest difference for me was you are one until you're not. You are one until you become self-aware. And that to me is the difference between someone with narcissistic personality disorder and someone who can heal their shit.
The self-awareness.
The self-awareness. And that's like the number one thing. Anything you look up about narcissists, it's the lack of self-awareness.
Yeah. And I would say too, the self-awareness and also the empathy for yourself and the empathy for others.
Yeah. That one's hard though, because sometimes they act like they have empathy.
Yeah.
So it's hard to see that there is none.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
So that was what I had to say about the hero's journey and the heroic journey, what the difference is. Anything you want to add to that?
No, but I do want to elaborate how she talked about having a mental health positive family, because I really love that. And I think that a lot of people's maybe initial thoughts about that are different than what it actually means.
Yes.
And so I kind of wanted to go into that more. So her definition of a mental health positive family is a group of people or members of a family that support and validate emotional expression. Parents feel their emotions in an appropriate way that maintains the safety of their environment and allow their children to do the same. And again, before we started recording, we both were talking about how, I personally believe that I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing if Kai grows up and he actually witnesses Tony and I having disagreements, but he watches us come to a resolution together. And again, this is a very, you got to be careful with, you don't want to go too far down that path where you guys are actually screaming at each other and fighting and belittling each other. That's not what I'm saying. But
that shouldn't be happening anyway.
But what I'm saying is, I think it's okay for our children to see us have disagreements and learn how to resolve it. And the reason why I think that is important is so then they also learn those skills. Or Leah and I are incredibly emotional beings. I cry when something's happy. I cry when something's sad. I cry when I'm scared. I cry when I'm angry. Mm-hmm. I literally cry all the time.
All the time. Every day. If I don't cry in a day, I'm like, what's going on?
Right. I don't think that, I've heard so many parents be like, oh, my kids can't see me cry. And I just think, well, why not? Because I think anger is a healthy emotion when you deal with it appropriately. I think crying is a healthy emotion. I think sadness is a healthy emotion. it's not just happiness, because that's not real. I
Right.
think you can have a very peaceful life and a peaceful family, and your children see when you're sad, your children see when you're happy, your children see all of the emotions, but they learn through you how to cope with those. Those feelings are okay, and they learn how to cope with those in an appropriate way.
100%. It's like, I know several people who are like, I don't want my kids to see me cry. I don't want my kids to see me weak. I don't want my kids to see me angry.
I think it's a
And
strength.
I think that like you're teaching them to hold those things in. You're teaching them that it's not okay to be those things. But I want to take this back a little bit, because even if you're not fighting or arguing in front of your children pick up on these things. They see it whether you think they do or not. They feel it whether you think they do or not. So you can do your best to try to keep these things away from them. They're still going to feel the tension. They're going to feel the anger, especially if they're like sensitive kids, highly sensitive, empathetic children. And I want to say that because we don't fight in front of the kids.
Sure.
And we have very hard conversations when they go to bed. But sometimes those hard conversations last for days.
Yeah.
And days.
Right.
And our children fucking see it.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
There was one time, I think my youngest sees it more. I don't know if it's because she's a girl or because she's like exactly like me and extremely empathetic, but she sees it more. And I remember one time we weren't fighting in front of them. We were just going through several days of like the same thing.
Going through the motions,
but like not speaking to each other in front of the kids. Like, again, not fighting. So I think a lot of parents are like, that's fine. You're not fighting in front of the kids. She literally drew a picture of us fighting and screaming, and then drew like a broken heart and then gave it to us.
Oh my gosh.
And like, I am pretty sure he even like cried over that, because she could feel that there was like something going on between us.
So how did you deal with that?
We talked to her about it. We were like, listen, we're okay. Like, parents, adults have really difficult conversations sometimes, and sometimes they take a while to get through, but we're talking it out and we're okay. I'm like getting emotional. Go fucking figure. And I also want to bring this up. 2 years ago, and we've talked about this in an episode with Jason, when I was having my like mental fucking breakdowns over his drinking. I was having one of the worst panic attacks of my life, and I was alone in it. It was during COVID. Everybody was home. I couldn't escape. I couldn't leave. I literally went outside in the pouring rain. And like, I was like, I remember seeing this thing about like being in the rain and being in nature and grounding yourself. I'm going to go do that. And I hate getting my hair wet, but
desperate times call for desperate
measures.
measures.
Sobbing and went out into the rain and stood in the grass in the backyard, pouring rain, and just sobbed. And then I laid on the ground in the rain and sobbed. I remember coming back in. Elle was 3 at this point. She was 3, so didn't understand what was going on, but was like, why are you outside, Mommy? What are you doing outside? And I was like, I just like being in the rain. It's weird because I came in and I showered and I have those clothes still, and I like didn't wash them in time. And one of my favorite t-shirts got like a mildew stain on it because I like left it fucking out in the rain, but whatever. Fast forward to just a few months ago. It was raining. I picked her up from gymnastics. We never talked about that. It didn't happen. Like, it was like it didn't happen. It was a non-thing. I picked her up from gymnastics like a few months ago. It was raining and I'm like, we got to hurry. We got to get in. I'm like, I don't want to get wet. And she was like, but you like the rain. And I was like, what? I don't like the rain. Why do you think I like the rain? She's like, remember that one time you were outside and you were standing in the rain and then you laid down in the grass and I asked you why you were out there and you said because you liked it? And I was like,
holy shit. She remembered.
She remembered. And she paid attention to that. And she was 3. And that
She's
is a
6
moment
now.
that stuck with her, is that I was standing in the rain by myself, sobbing So when I heard her talk about having a mental health positive family, like I think about that and I'm like, I should have told her I was trying to calm myself down.
Yeah.
I should have told her that I was having a really hard time and I was wanting to be in nature and I was wanting to sit on the grass, but I kept it from her. I lied to her and that stuck with her. Anyway, I just thought that was really cool because even when we think they're not paying attention or we think they don't understand, they 100% do. And they're telling themselves the stories that we tell them or they make up their own.
Yeah.
And so I think it's incredibly important to be open and honest.
Well, and like her and then, you know, my son are so young and she's starting to pick up on it. But I think about my stepdaughters who are 17 and 20. And, you know, sometimes their views of relationships, our love, it makes me sad. And I try to have these very transparent and honest conversations like, no, like love to me is like an action. It's work. It's not just like what you see in a movie where it's, you know, two people who meet in this crazy way and like they live this happily ever after. It's constant work. Mm-hmm. You are going to fight. You have to learn how to fight. You're going to like trigger each other. Like it is, love is work for sure. It's not a, we get married, this is my soulmate.
Happily ever after.
No. It's like with our own selves. Like my own healing journey, it's a constant work in progress. Same thing with my relationship. Same thing with the way I parent.
Yeah.
Everything is work and it's learning, growing, evolving every single day. But I think because we repress those things from them and hide them, they're not learning those skills. And I think those are really important skills to learn. And that it just doesn't happen and whatever. You know, it's not this fairy tale, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, I get what you're trying to say. I really think that, you know, obviously you can't tell them you can only tell them so much. They don't need details, but I think that it's incredibly important to say, this is real life.
Right.
This is not a fairy tale.
Right.
That shit is not real.
Right. But there is strength in showing your feelings. There's strength in showing your emotions. There is strength on being with a partner who they also have the same mindset of they are continuing and wanting to evolve and grow with you. It's not two perfect people who meet. It's two imperfect people who are wanting to grow and evolve together.
Justin Baldini, I think that's his name, who played in like Jane the Virgin, did a podcast where I was listening to it about relationships, and he was like, you should be with someone who triggers you. Yeah. Because that's how you grow. Now, my definition of love is kind of shifted based on what you're saying too. Like I think love now is like two people willing to work and grow with each other. Because it's so easy to give up.
And it's so easy to stay stuck or complacent. You know how many couples I know where they're not like growing together, but they don't want to be apart from each other because it's what's comfortable?
I didn't even think about that part.
Like, again, it is work.
Yeah.
Constant.
So what would you say to someone who's in a relationship where they're doing the work, but the other person isn't? I know what I would say.
What would you say?
I've been there. It doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
It can't work.
That ain't my vibe.
I want to be with someone who is willing to grow with me. Yeah. And I think that when you are growing and healing and doing the work and you're with someone who isn't, there's only so far you can go. And I think that's very hard for a lot of people to recognize.
Well, we always use that, you know, fish analogy. Polluted water, take the fish out, get it healthy. But if you put it back in that water again, it's gonna get sick again. So, yeah, No, I totally agree.
Oh, that's to me what marriage is.
Yeah.
And what love is.
Yeah.
Not even marriage. I don't fuck marriage.
God.
Honestly,
I'm not
fuck
married.
marriage.
I'm not married, but I have a family.
I love that.
Yeah.
If I wasn't married, I wouldn't want to be married. I would still have the same family that I have, but
I've been there, done that. No, I'm just kidding.
I just think it has a different meaning to me now.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. Anything else you want to include from that episode, or do you want to get...
I'm so excited
I'm gonna
about
give it
these.
to you.
Okay, listen. This brand, it's called the And. I actually think it's called Skin Deep. And they have these cards, and every deck is different. This one is for friends. It's amusing. I have a relationship deck for couples that are like deep and intimate questions that we sometimes do on MDMA.
Ooh.
And then they have family edition, so like for kids.
Okay.
So we're going to pick a card, how to play. You sit facing one another. Done. Choose 12 random cards. We're not doing 12. We're just going to do one. Take 30 seconds to relax and look at each other. Person one begins by asking, person two answers, and then you switch.
Okay.
All right. So these aren't shuffled.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not like I've ever played this before.
No, we've never played. So
You've never played either?
not this one.
Okay. Cool.
Not this deck.
Cool.
All right. Pick a card. And then I'm going to pick one.
Okay.
All right, go.
If you had to call me by another name, what would it be and why?
I get to name you?
Yeah. Name me whatever you want and why.
Have I ever said on here that I didn't know your name for a long time?
Oh, God. I hate this. Yeah.
But I still don't. I used to think I couldn't remember if it was Christine or Christina.
Everyone calls me fucking Christina, and it drives me crazy because it's Christine Alfred. So it's usually Christine A.
I think that's why I used to think that. The A would throw me off, even though I knew that, but your Instagram name, Christine A.
Right. And I also think that Christine is like a super, no offense, white people name. And I don't know. I feel like I don't look like a Christine.
You don't look like a Christine. I hate to break it to you, but you don't look like a Christine either. I used to be like, oh, hey, girl.
Oh, my God.
Instead of calling you by your name. You. I'm so sorry. Hey.
Story of my fucking life.
Okay, if I had to name you. You know, this is hard because I don't know Marshallese names, but I feel like you should have like some type of exotic.
You know what Marshallese people call me?
What? This is a hard question.
I know. Marshallese people, they're always like, Ligaristine. Yeah. Ligaristine. Ligaristine.
I wouldn't call you that either.
I know.
Shit. This one's a really hard one. I don't know. Do you have a name that you always wanted to be called?
Yes, I do.
Okay, tell us that we're going to change this question a little bit.
All right. So, I had a job in San Diego where I worked at a kids, I hate saying like a weight loss, a kids fitness camp, kids from all over the world. And we stayed at the UCSD campus, and it was like me and another co-counselor, and then we had like 12 girls, like preteen girls. And it was like for the entire summer, like 2.5 months, we woke them up, we fed them, we were literally their mothers. So I would wake them up every morning or whatever, and they would take fitness classes with me, we'd eat lunch, whatever. But they said that I always wore really bright colors, and I was always very like bubbly and warm and welcoming, and I reminded them of a cupcake. And then that turned into Cuppy. And so I got really sad because I love that nickname and like why they named me that. Oh. But then I never saw any, like I talked to them, but I haven't seen any of them since, and that was in 2008. And so like it was all new people in this experience. And so then we all left and went our separate ways because we all lived in different areas of the world. And so no one ever called me that again.
Cuppy.
Yeah, but I loved that name. Yeah, Cuppy.
Cuppy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start calling you that.
Please.
I'm going to try.
I like beg Tony to call me Cuppy. Beg him. This is like an ongoing
like
argument.
Please call me Cuppy.
So this is like an argument that we have with Kai. But we have not problem solved it yet because he doesn't. Okay.
Oh my God. You're like, call me Cuppy. When you are like a grandparent, you're going to be like, they're calling me Cuppy.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't want to be called grandma.
That.
I'm going to be called Cuppy. Okay.
100%.
I love that. I am here for that. Okay.
All right. My card. Ooh.
Oh, God.
This is not amusing.
Okay.
What's a lesson your parents taught you that you now know is false?
Oh, shit. I know.
Okay.
To not talk.
Holy shit. To not speak out.
To not speak out. To not speak about my feelings. And as I've been on my healing journey, like I've appreciated my bigness. I know we're bright colors, have a big personality, have big emotions, big opinions. I love when I have, am struggling with somebody else, I want to go directly to them and talk about it and solve it. I really struggle with friendships where it's like brush everything under the rug. So it would be talking.
That's a deep one.
And sharing my feelings.
That's not amusing at all.
I know, that was deep. Okay, maybe next time it will get.
Yeah, we'll discard these.
Okay.
All right, and let's figure this shit out. Remember last time I fucked it up so hard? All right, until next time, we'll see you guys on the other side.
Bye.